Hello, this is Doug Farragher. Welcome to Lesson 5 in ABBYR SHEN. Say that. An introduction to our Manx Gaelic, or as we would say in the Gaelic itself, the Seodúil Shikaracha, co failt eru gus lesson queg. Lesson queg, Lesson 5, an emshir. The weather, an emshir. The weather. And what an important topic of conversation the weather is. And here are some appropriate words about the weather. Emshir is weather. Che, hot. Fur, or as they would say in northern Manx, fear, cold. Doranach, stormy. Cune, calm. Eilen, beautiful. Aglach, awful. Cow, throwing, casting. Fliaga, rain, or as they would say in northern Manx, flia. Sneachta, snow. Now, before we go any further, I'd better explain to you that there was a slight difference in accent and pronunciation between northern and southern Manx. And the division between northern and southern Manx is not the central valley which goes through Glenvine and Crosby, but it is the ridge of hills which runs from Cronkaneary Lay right up to the Bride Hills. But the difference in pronunciation is only very slight, and it's not worth bothering about, particularly at this stage of an introductory course to the language. Now I'll give you some examples of that eternal topic, the weather. First, slowly, and then at normal speed. Te che. Te che. It's hot. Nach wel fur. Nach wel fur. Isn't it cold? Ten emshir eilen. Ten emshir eilen. The weather is beautiful. Vela darnach. Vela darnach. Is it stormy? Ten emshir cune. Ten emshir cune. The weather's calm. Emshir aglach. Emshir aglach. Awful weather. Take jou flia. Take jou flia. It's raining. That really means it's throwing rain or casting rain. Take jou sneachta. It's snowing. Take jou sneachta. It's snowing. It's throwing snow. But we usually only say take jou for it's raining, or it's hailstoning, or it's snowing. We use the one little simple word, expression, take jou. It is casting or it is throwing. Now, how do we talk in Manx about things which happened in the past? We can start by learning some more new words. Ve, which means was or were. The question form of that is rau, was or were. The negative, harau, was not or were not. And the negative interrogative, as we call it, nachrau, was not or were not. And we can use these new words in some examples. Ve che. Ve che. It was hot. Nach raue fur. Nach raue fur. Wasn't it cold? Van emshir eilen. Van emshir eilen. The weather was beautiful. Rauwe dornach, ve. Rauwe dornach, ve. Was it stormy? Yes. Harauwe kew. Harauwe kew. It wasn't raining. Harauwe kew snachte, rauw. Harauwe kew snachte, rauw. It wasn't snowing, was it? Nach rauwe gol gusdulish, harauw. Nach rauwe gol gusdulish, harauw. Wasn't he going to Douglas? No. Now, there are no separate words in Manx for yes and no. And to answer a question, such as Rauwe Fur, was it cold, we say ve, it was. Or we can say harau, it was not. So, although there are no separate words in Manx for yes and no, there are really hundreds, because every verb has to be answered in the tense and in the verb in which the question was asked. Now, some more words regarding the weather and related matters. Gear is wind, gear. Giach, windy. Fluch, wet. Chirm, dry. Grien, sun. Grienach, sunny. Kiden, sea. Garu, rough. Ulk, bad. And some examples of those words. Cray, gulrish, tan emshir. Cray, gurish, tan emshir. What's the weather like? Gulrish, which is always pronounced gurish in normal speech, means going to. And this is one of the Manx ways of saying resembling or being like something. I can give you some more examples now. Cray, gulrish, tan emshir. Giach. Cray, gurish, tan emshir. Giach. What's the weather like? Windy. Cray, gurish, tan emshir. Grianach. Cray, gurish, tan emshir. Grianach. What's the weather like? Sunny. Cray, gurish, van emshir. Fluch. Cray, gurish, van emshir. Fluch. What was the weather like? Wet. Cray, gulrish, van kiden. Vekun. Cray, gurish, van kiden. Vekun. What was the sea like? It was calm. Rau a kiden garu. Harau vekuden. Rau a kiden garu. Harau vekuden. Was the sea rough? No, it was calm. Rau an emshir ulk. Harau vi elen. Rau an emshir ulk. Harau vi elen. Was the weather bad? No, it was beautiful. Now, those of you who are catching on to these lessons will notice that we refer to emshir, the weather, as she, and kiden, the sea, as he. And in Manx, as in many other languages in the world, nouns are either feminine or masculine. And nouns are words which we use to name things like weather, sea, rain, book, and so on. In Manx, there is no word for it. Let's look at some more examples. Rau a kiden garu. Harau ve kuden. Was the sea rough? No, he was calm. In other words, it was calm. Rau an emshir ulk. Harau vi elen. Was the weather bad? No, she was beautiful. In other words, it was beautiful. Strictly, we should learn whether each Manx noun is feminine or masculine as we come to it. And you can find this gender of words in the vocabulary at the end of these lessons if you have the booklet, after the grammar notes. But You must not worry too much about this. It's perfectly possible to get a good grounding in Manx without concentrating on learning if nouns are masculine or feminine. All you have to do is to learn that a small number of common nouns are feminine, and the fact that they are feminine shows up mainly in letter changes or mutations. When a child is learning a language on its grandmother's knee, she doesn't say this word is feminine, etc., etc. They learn a language in the natural way, and that is the correct way to do it. So you learn expressions like this, like the following ones. Emshir, good weather. Emshir is feminine, and so the M in my, meaning good, changes to V. Evai is good night. The M in my becomes V because E, meaning night, is feminine. Bedden veg, a little woman. Bedden means woman, and beg means little, but after a feminine noun like bedden, woman, the B in beg is changed to V, and this causes great consternation in the Isle of Man among non-Manx speaking people. They wonder why you get a boat called the Ben Veg, the little woman, and then you get something called the such and such a thing, Mua, meaning big, and they wonder why the letters change. It's all due to this mutation which occurs in all the Celtic languages. And now if we look at a masculine noun like dunya, dunya meaning man, dunya mai, a good man, the M in my doesn't change. And of course the adjective follows the noun, so when you say dunya mai, you're not saying a good man, you're really saying a man good, as you would in French. Dunya beg, a little man. No change again, because dunya is masculine. In Manx, we often use the word own, A-Y-N, own, meaning in, or in it, or in him, in the sense of in existence. I'm sure many of you have heard the older Manx people saying things like, I didn't know the like was in. In other words, I didn't know such a thing existed. Now, using own, we can say things like ta emshir vai own. Ta emshir vai own. There's good weather in. In other words, the weather's good. Ta emshir ulk own. Ta emshir ulk own. There's bad weather in. In other words, the weather's bad. Ta sneachta own. Ta sneachta own. There's snow in. In other words, it's snowing. Or there's snow around. If we want to emphasize something, we can use the word she, S-H-E, which is pronounced she, which can be translated as it is. You can say things like she emshir vai tone. She emshir vai tone. It's good weather that's in. In normal English, you would say something like, it's certainly good weather, or it's good weather. You could say, she emshir ulk tone. She emshir ulk tone. It's bad weather. She sneachta tone. She sneachta tone. It's snow. You could put a note of surprise there. She gie aglach von. She gie aglach von. It was a terrible wind. And before finishing this lesson with the usual collotus or conversation, here are a few more words which are used a lot in conversation. Now, dunya, in the vocative case, those of you who don't want to bother about it, don't worry what the vocative case is, becomes gunye. Gunye. In Scottish Gaelic, it's gunye. And in Manx, we very often say wunye. And it really means man. And the best translation is the Anglo-Manx yissa. Another word is graivin. dear love. But it's nothing to do with love generally. It's something like my word, or like the Welsh indeed to goodness, or the American gee whiz, or the English dear me. Another expression one often hears is gee bunny me, God bless me. Gee means God, and bunny means bless. So, to finish off with our colotus, our conversation, we have once more Ewan and Dúlis. They seem to be very good friends, these two. And Ewan says, Vau ons Spanje nach rau. Vau ons Spanje nach rau. You were in Spain, weren't you? And Dúlis says, Ve wonje, ve vier vai. Ve wonje, ve vier vai. Yes, yes, sir. It was very nice. And Ewan says, Cre gorish van emshir, raui mai. Cre gorish van emshir, raui mai. What was the weather like? Was it good? And Dúlis says, van emshir eilen, ve che the lure, che emshir vai von. Cre gorish ve ons manin, van emshir eilen, ve che the lure, che emshir vai von. Cre gorish ve ons manin. And that means the weather was lovely. It was warm enough. It's beautiful weather now. What was it like in Mannin, in the Isle of Man? In other words, when I was away. Ewan replies, Ve fuer the lure, ach arawa olk, ach grai vin te kiau nesh. Ve fuer the lure, ach arawa olk, ach grai vin te kiau nesh. It was cold enough, but it wasn't bad. But my goodness, it's raining now. And Dúlis says, Gee, banny me wonje, te kiau, ach te mai ons mannen. Dúlis says, God bless me, yesser. It's raining, but it's nice in the Isle of Man. And that concludes Lesson 5 in ABBYR SHEN. Say that. Or as we say in Manx, te shen cudgerer a lesson queg ons ABBYR SHEN. And thank you all for joining us.